Prime Minister Modi's visit to France will be a significant milestone in the bilateral relationship between two countries, France and India. While defense cooperation between India and France will be the key focus of the two-day visit, both countries are expected to strengthen their ties in digital economy, manufacturing and clean energy. Now, as per media reports, India and France are also scheduled to discuss the possible launch of digital payments technology, or UPI, the Indian UPI, Unified Payments Interface in France. The deal is expected to be along the lines of India-Singapore fast payment linkage. Now, in 2023, India's UPI and Singapore's Pay Now signed an agreement allowing users in either country to make cross-border transaction. The UPI Pay Now integration allows users to quickly make payments, send money abroad between the two countries, and that could similarly be made possible now between India and France. Remember, UPI is hugely popular, continue to grow in popularity. Its monthly volumes exceeded 9 billion transactions. I'm talking about volume for the month of May 2023. All that augurs really well for India's digital economy. Joining me at this point in time in the studio is my colleague. Also, Amit continues to be with us. Krishna, I want to first begin with you. This is the story of India's digital economy growth. This is the story of the growth of India's public infrastructure, digital public infrastructure. And the UPI success story has in a way signaled to the rest of the world that India is growing as far as digital payments is concerned. And in this case particularly, after signing a deal with Singapore, France could be the first European country which would sign perhaps a UPI agreement, which means both French people and Indian people can transfer money abroad seamlessly.
Right, and that's because we've already done this within Southeast Asia with Singapore, as you've already told us about. Like you rightly mentioned, we saw India managed to strike a deal with Singapore where cross-border UPI payments could be made between India and Singapore, and now cross-border payments can be made between India and France. First European country, hopefully the beginning of more good things to come. Imagine if us being able to use, so many Indians travel to London all the time. So many, have friends and relatives and work over there. So imagine us being able to do this in London, us being able to do this in other big cities across the world, including New York and other cities. So, I mean, already we have seen the RuPay card, the RuPay entity getting traction abroad as well. So all of this means that these kind of linkages basically mean that it is the Indian model that it could eventually see getting replicated everywhere across the world, because this is talking about 9 billion transactions in just the month of May on UPI in India. That's been the kind of success that UPI has been. But however, across the world, especially in Europe, people haven't taken to paying online digital payments as much as Indians have, because even when you go on holidays right now in Europe, Shweta, you have to use your cash. You have to keep a portion of the money that you spend over there in cash, and then the rest of it is in card. Very few of them, where you can take your phone and scan a QR code and pay for it, or take a number down and pay for it. And all of that is happening in India and China to a very large extent. I mean, to give it to them, in fact, they did before us. But the growth in India has been absolutely phenomenal. And as you're rightly pointing out, the digital public infrastructure being built so that Indians can transact freely, safely, and quickly online, has been nothing short of a wonder story. And you're seeing that story being taken to the next level. If Indians living in India and Indians living abroad, can transact in the same platform, the kind of linkages that can provide, the benefits that can accrue because of that it's very difficult to assess them at this stage. But I think it will truly take, India and Indians' ability to transact in money online to another level.
All right, and what we know at this point in time, and I'll get quickly Amit to discuss this further. NPCI, the company that runs UPI in France, is Lyra, Lyra, is working, and this has been in the works for at least a year now. And since Prime Minister Modi is all set to touch base in France, Modi would be opening up, or rather inaugurating, the linkage between the two countries, the economic linkage which would be essentially beneficial to French people in India and Indians who go out, travel abroad, live abroad or work abroad, specifically in France or other parts of the European Union. All in all, I think this is a start of an economic relationship with France, Amit.
Yes, I would say so. This deal has been in the works from NPCI for quite some time, and if it is announced during this PM Modi's France visit, then I think it's going to be the first arrangement in a European country. We do have countries who have adopted a UPI system, whether it is Bhutan or Nepal or UAE. Singapore was the first country where we had this kind of transaction. And as Krishna also pointed out, this will open up more European countries to adopt UPI eventually. UPI is now big. As per some RBI data, I think the 73% of all the non-cash transactions in India are now happening through UPI, and this is going to increase in the next few years. There was a report by I think PwC which said that the daily transactions are expected to reach about 1 billion by FY27, so accounting for almost 90% of all the non-cash transactions. Having these kind of economic relations with other European countries, and given the fact, that so many of our companies have operations there or have joint ventures there, and tourism again, is big in European countries. I think this is a good start for UPI. For NPCI, and this is going to prosper both ways going forward.
All right. Of course, a start of a new economic relationship, a relationship that is based on India's public digital infrastructure and leveraging the technology that both the countries possess. This has been in the works for a while, but quickly to Krishna, before we move on from this very important discussion, UPI story is also a story of India's growth and success. At a time when, we or previous governments, and I'm not naming a certain government, it doesn't matter to us, but at a time when previous governments in the country could not have envisioned the growth of digital economy to a point where by 2026, 90% of all digital transactions will be done through UPI. UPI is becoming a game changer for everybody, from a local vendor to a kirana store to us who are traveling on a constant basis. This is also a story of aspirational India. Krishna, if you come to think of it, because we were of the view that in a country where people cannot afford smartphones, how will they be able to transact digitally? But not only can we afford a smartphone, we're also transacting digitally in ways that was unfathomable years ago.
And still unfathomable for many parts of the world. The world is now looking at India and looking at the rate of adoption of digital payments, and that is only rivaled by that of China. No country, no Western nation, be it America or Europe, or for the matter Australia, we've seen where people in these countries have taken to transacting online, making payments online without fear, without worrying about their money getting wiped out, their entire money in their bank accounts getting wiped out one fine day. That's the fear that they have, or whether they haven't been able to overcome that fear. But whereas India and Indians, have been able, first of all, they've been provided with a platform where they could trust that platform, and also the fact that all the linkages you've seen with UPI, like UPI, taking into its ambit Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, everything coming into the ambit of the UPI. The way this platform has evolved and just brought about everything out of the ambit has just done away with wallets. Before UPI, wallet was the name of the game. You had so many companies launching newer wallets. Companies are still launching wallets. But the question on wallets have now come about. Why do you need a wallet when you can do UPI? So UPI, in the true sense of the term, has been that game changer when it comes to digital payments within India. And now it is looking to be a game changer when it comes to sending and receiving money outside of the borders of India. So so this is the level 2 or phase 2 of UPI, and aspirationally speaking, if Indians aspired for an easier way of doing things in which they can conduct their daily lives, they've gotten that aspiration. I think it's now asking Indians to aspire for more. expect UPI not just where you are when you are at home, but also expect UPI wherever you go. So that is the aspiration right now, Shweta.
Right. A story of aspirational India, a story of growing demand for digital public goods in India, digital public infrastructure in India. UPI continues to be a success story. We're given to understand it will soon record 1 billion in transaction, and we're talking about volume of transaction. Will record 1 billion transactions per day by financial year 26 and 27, going from 83 billion transactions in 22-23. So 83 billion transaction in the entire year to 1 billion transaction per day. It's going to be a huge success story. We will of course keep tracking those details.